darling blossom. Look how many blossoms I've got in my hand. Mr. Anemone.
I know, they're the most spectacular looking anemones that I've seen, because normally the ones you can order are kind of more single. But these are looking great. Pastel purple, darker purple, sort of a, how would you describe that pink? It's kind of a...
antique pink.
Antique pink? Oh, yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, definitely on steroids. I'll speak to the farmer on the side and ask what sort of steroids.
Anyway, so that's in the Ranunculaceae family, which also includes Delphiniums, Clematis, and Ranunculus.
Yes,
well, there they are.
Associated cousins, so you don't want to be picking on Mr. Anemone.
Yeah.
And the tip is you need to ice them. So what does that mean? Get into your freezer, get your ice cubes.
Yep.
And put some ice cubes in the water. And that's how you display them. They need to be iced.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the first contact when they come into contact with water. So ice them, my darling blossoms. Now it's native to Europe and North America, and also Japan, believe it or not. Now cat, dog, and horse friendly?
No, toxic, I think.
It's not.
No, right, I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it's you can't have those three furry friends around it, and it's skin irritant. Yes. So you need to stay away, and it is a tuber. Hence the reason why we're calling it Mr. Anemone, which means that you need to cut the stem flush, my darling blossoms, so that they don't wear high heels. You've got to cut the stem flush
Straight across.
Is it fragrant? No, it's not. You can use flower food for this cut flower because it enhances the bloom to open up more. And if you want it to last longer, put them outside at night because the petals then close back up, a bit like Mr. Tulip as well.
Yes, that's true. They do close back up. Now, actually, the name anemone comes from Greek, which roughly means windflower.
Yes.
Now, it's supposed to signify that the wind blows the petals open, and the same wind is supposed to blow the dead petals away.
Well, hopefully. Now, if you're into chakras, it represents heart and crown, and it can last up to 7 days. And this is now the time to get Mr. Anemone into your vase. Can you dry it? It does very well if you press it. Very good. And what is the flower care for Mr. Anemone? Well, it's best purchased when it's semi-open. So if you're watching the live video, if you purchase the bunch looking like the one that I'm holding in my hands, that's the best way. Look for strong stems. So if it's starting to feel weak, that means that it's dehydrated, and prevention is better than cure. So I bypass that bunch and move on to the bunch that is vibrant in colour when it comes to the petals, and the foliage just under the neck of the petal, that needs to be very hydrated as well. So don't be scared to touch the foliage. And as you can see, silky, free
of leaves.
Yeah, no hairy legs.
The stems they've got free of leaves, so they don't pollute the water that you're standing them in. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now, for people who want to grow them, you should have planted the tubers last autumn probably.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because that's what spring bulbs have to be planted in autumn, and they come in a funny shape. They've got a pointy end, and you have to plant the pointy end downwards.
Oh, that's a great tip.
Yeah. Otherwise, they may not come up.
Oh, right. No, we want them to come up because they're gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. They are. And the other thing is people don't water them enough. They need weekly watering if you haven't got water in your district, because they won't come up at all. So, this is before they come up even. So you've got to water the spot, whether in the pot or in the ground. You've got to make sure you give it good water every week. And once they come up, well, that's okay. You can ease back. Yeah.
Good to know, Marianne. Now, we all love floral gossip.
We do.
And the floral gossip about Mr. Anemone, for the superstitious that are listening, Mr. Anemone is known for his ability to predict rain. And when anemone petals close up, it means that a storm is on its way.
Wow.
So that's one of the floral gossips. The other, different cultures, different Mr. Anemone beliefs. So we'll speak about the yeast. The yeast, Mr. Anemone is believed to carry disease and bad luck. So if you're presenting them in a vase, so it's a big no-no.
Mm.
So they avoid it. So if you're in the east part of the world, they keep away. But the Europeans used to hold their breath through Mr Anemone fields because they believed at the time that Mr Anemone carried bad omens and misfortune.
They must have had to run. I can't pass out.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the field wasn't too long because you don't want to be passing out in the field. On the other hand, the English and the Irish believed that Mr Anemone petals closed when the fairies were sleeping inside them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty creative, isn't it?
I like that one.
God
yeah.
love them,
Yeah.
the English and the Irish.
Yeah.
And the Victorians, however, disagree with the English and the Irish. Because with the Chinese as well, they used to use Mr Anemone to represent forsaken love.
Ah, yes. I've heard that one. Yes.
You've heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So represents a lot of different ideologies, and like I said, different cultures, different meanings.
Actually, one thing I forgot to mention is when you're planting anemone tubers, you need to soak them for a few hours in lukewarm water first because they're kind of dried and hard. It makes them hard to germinate if you just then stick them in dry ground and then think, oh, they're going to grow when it rains. Well, no.
That's a very good tip, Marianne. Now, for the listeners who are into painting, the infamous painters Matisse and Monet, they famously painted Mr Anemone. And they look very, very nice if you want to mix them with tulips, rose, celosia, and lisianthus.
Actually, in a way, some of them look a little bit like lisianthus. If you look at look at the purple ones in the studio. Sorry for listeners who haven't got the video, but I'll always post the video on the website as well as on my Facebook page. So, yeah.
Oh, it does, you're right. And for the people who suffer allergies, this is certainly the flower to have at home. And just like temperature and fragrance manipulates your mood, so does colour. So I'm holding in my hand here purple and pink. So purple represents, if you want to get a natural high, surround yourself with the colour purple. And pink is for the listeners who are managing stress and anxiety. The colour pink is famous for managing those conditions.
Oh, there we have it. That's all these fascinating tips that you come up with.
Now, before I wrap it up, we all love the energetic properties for every cut flower that we speak about. So Mr Anemone helps with the enhancement of stimulating our curiosity and enabling us to connect to our inner child with the guidance of our true hearts. Serving as a reminder to enjoy the moment, Mr Anemone also acts as a relaxant, allowing the gods of opportunities to flood into your domain. Get lost in the wonder of dreaming and creative thoughts as you celebrate your core, authentic self and wrapping it all up. Anticipate into the fortune as something new is brewing and coming your way. No matter how dark things might look at the moment, believe and hang in there.
Wow, I like that though. The best of all, actually. Once again, Mercedes, thanks for coming in and talking to us about anemones.
Always a pleasure.